Welcome back to Ferocious Education, this is Zed. Today, we're giving a quick update on OCGN and what we can anticipate in the next few days or so. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. Now, OCGN, we talked about this stock before, so we're giving a quick update. But in case you never heard about them, OCGN is a biopharmaceutical company focused on discovering, developing, and commercializing gene therapies to cure blindness diseases and developing a vaccine to save lives from COVID-19. They previously also announced multiple different press releases, but I'm only really going to focus on the one in the last week. So on the 19th, they presented preclinical data for OCU410 at the second annual Dry AMD Therapeutics Development Conference. That actually happened yesterday, almost 24 hours ago, on October 20th, 2021 at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, on other news, the last one was October 16th, and that was really relating towards a grant that they issued for some of their staff. But we do have a quick snapshot of their pipeline and regulatory overview. So the number one thing is the Covaxin one. So Covaxin is currently approved in India as an emergency use vaccine made in India as well by Bharat Biotech. And these guys are trying to bring it into North America, into Canada Health Organization and the US FDA. So both kind of these parts. And currently, it's still in review process. It's also in review process on World Health Organization, and that's still not completed yet. But if you look up Covaxin, you'll find tons of articles from Indian press and some others as well, mainly from Indian source press, saying that the W Health Organization approval is almost guaranteed, all that kind of stuff, or goes on between critiques between it. But anyway, at some point, it might actually get approved also in the US and Canada. And they would be getting, or these guys, OCGN, are responsible for selling and distributing Covaxin in North America, and they take a kickback out of the profits, but we're still going to see how that goes. Other than that, it has different modifier gene therapy platforms, including OCU400 and OCU410, and you have also a novel biologic, which is OCU200, relating towards diabetes, and these are in preclinical. Now, the biggest thing that we want to take a look at is insiders and institutional buyers. Now, institutional buyers have been a bit interesting. Patriot Investments Management yesterday liquidated their entire position. North Star Investments Management Corp halved their position almost by 57% decrease. Arcodius Wealth Advisors liquidated their entire position, and you got Elvist Incorporation having a little bit of a smaller position added. Davis J. Yavers Group liquidated their position back on the 18th. So there has been some activities, a bit of adding, a bit of selling here, as we get to see. Now, another one is the institutional buyers. So Compella Uday, which is one of their directors, as mentioned above here, they basically liquidated half of their entire position. So you're able to see here on the 18th and on the 20th, they sold equivalent of around 202,000 or 200,000 and 2,000 shares combined. That comes out to be almost $1.7 million of worth of stocks. Now, they still have around 278,000 shares remaining that they didn't sell, but that's still quite of a massive sum that they already gone for. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is the short interest and the short volumes. So currently, the short interest ratio is 1.66. Now, the short volume ratio is around 49%. There's around 500,000 shares available to short sell at a very small short selling fee. So the short borrow fee rate is only 2.13. Now on Finviz, this suggests that there's currently around 27.38% on a short float. It's not high, but basically 1/4 of the stock is held on the short selling side. It might not really do anything to the stock, but it's at least good to note for that information. Now on to technical analysis, but before then, if you would like to see more contents like this, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe button and leave notifications on for this channel. If you'd like to join our Discord, it's in the description below, and let's move on towards technical analysis. From a technical analysis perspective, we find a few interesting things. First off, on the moving averages, this is actually pretty good looking. So you got the 10 SMA is being above 30 MA. That's really nice. The stock is somewhat still on an upcline, and the stock is between the two of them. So the 10 SMA and the 30 MA, between them, there's something called the trading action zone, where positive reversals are most likely. You also have the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA being very close to each other, but the 50 SMA is a tad above the 200 SMA, so still bullish. The average directional index is at 4017, suggesting that we might actually continue on to see this very strong trend, that it might actually continue its strength on it. The William percent R, which is very similar to the relative strength index, is in between. It's neither overbought or oversold. Meanwhile, the MACD is currently retracting a little, suggesting that we might actually see this end, or at least a test of a reversal, sometime next week, if not the week after. So there's still some time, but it's retracting a little bit in that momentum, or the kind of push itself. And momentum is actually a little bit down from early on in the movement, and that's seen by the chart. But nonetheless, it looks like we're getting a little bit of an uptrend. Stochastic fast and stochastic slow both are suggesting there might be a slow uptrend into this one, so we got to be very careful. Bollinger Bands and the moving average bands are all kind of pinpointing upwards. The Bollinger Bands expects this one to trade between 972 and 594. However, the moving averages itself are between 861 on the top, 783 in the middle, and 704 in the bottom. Now, in terms of Fibonacci retracement, we're seeing significant resistances are 952, 1171, 1482, and 1878. Meanwhile, the supports are at 734 and 463. Now, if you were just to use price line action to capture some of these supports that aren't seen by Fibonacci retracements, there's a critical support that tested today is at 829. If you drop on there, you might hit easily 798, and then downwards to 727, going downwards to 671, and then downwards to 597, then 519, and then 351. In terms of resistances though, we're able to see there is a resistance at the 870 level, and then 914 level, and then 1006 level, and then 1108 going to 1210, and then 1387, 1586, and then 1877. Comes to the question to Ed, what do you think is most likely going to happen here? Now, for this stock, you're able to see there might be a little bit of an uptrend that we're seeing around this area, which looks good overall. However, there's a lot of back and forth that you're seeing with the stock, and a lot of volatility going from 1060 almost in a day after to 740. That was a massive drop, almost 30%. And it's definitely looking a little bit worse than a lot of people anticipated, where it continues to jump. But there's a reason to that, because it got some push from around $6 to 1060 without major news. There was the October 19th conference, but up closer to that, it really dropped, or sorry, October 20th. But currently it's on a slow uptrend, and you want this uptrend to continue. Now, I would say the current point that you don't want it to drop below to continue on this uptrend is at 820. You might want to put your stop limit at $8.20 or $8 if you're riding this one above an average of, I would say, of around $6.70 or $7. But if you bought around $10.60, it might not be exactly the time to average down. You might want to wait just because you don't know if it does break that momentum around $8.20 or not. Volumes have dropped significantly from this earlier on push. It's currently only trading around 13 to 12 million shares, so it's definitely lower interest. Unless you see higher volume, you might not see this kind of massive push upwards, and it's gonna just accumulate and slide a little bit upwards, and at least it's better than a drop. What do you think is gonna happen here? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like this video, and have a wonderful day.